Barry.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to speak in favour of the Local Government Auckland Council Amendment Bill No. 2. It was introduced last night by the Local Government Minister, Chris Tremaine. It's a very straightforward piece of legislation with a very clear purpose. It is a bill that amends the Local Government Act so that Auckland's local boards delegate various functions and powers to committee of the local board or a council officer. This is needed, of course, Mr Speaker, because on October the 31st this year, those transitional powers will expire, and this is a piece of legislation which absolutely replicates the current provisions and does not add any new policy. The Greens have just said that they supported it. Well, isn't that a surprise? This from a member who is clearly confused. Local government is messy, and even if it goes badly, that's democracy. Well, that's the kind of sensible solution that really characterises the Greens. They talk against it, they talk down to it, but wow, actually they support it. Goodness me, it is a rare thing indeed to have them support anything. Let me remind this House that ratepayers absolutely in this country have to know that their council is spending their money wisely on services that matter to them. New Zealand's 78 councils spend a lot of money, some $7.5 billion of public money each year. Now, since 2002, council debt has quadrupled from $2 billion to $8 billion, and on average rates costs have increased by 7% per annum. There are some spectacular failings, absolutely spectacular. So it seems to me it's a very prudent form of management that this government is taking over the RMA reforms, and this piece of legislation, a necessary piece of legislation, dovetails perfectly into our wider purpose, which actually gives this government some say over the less able councils. We feel strongly that ratepayers need good representation, and we're not about to sit back on our hands and let things like Kaipara happen. This piece of legislation is all part of what we're needing to do as a government to ensure that the regulations that went through in 2010 after Cabinet agreed that local boards should have the power to delegate actually does allow them that power. And to talk about local boards representing local communities and not to speak in favour of that legislation would be truly illogical. The Greens just skirted that in their funny little planet way, but it is apparent even to them and to others in this chamber, even though they try and grandstand around the fact that they're not happy with the wider reforms and use that as an opportunity to criticise us. Even they appreciate that the Local Government Auckland Council Amendment Bill No. 2 needs to go through. So there's not a lot more to be said, Mr Speaker. I will not take up any more time on the House on this piece of legislation that pretty much everyone agrees on. So I commend it to the House.
Phil Twyford.
I'm glad the member Maggie Barry